मित्रांनो, तुमचं सगळ्यांचं स्वागत आहे वामन मॅटर्स मध्ये. आज आपल्या बरोबर आहेत अलेक्झांड्रा, म्यू आणि त्या बातचीत करणार आहेत आपली संभोगमधून उत्पन्न होणारी जी ताकद आहे त्याचा कसा बरोबर वापर करायचा आपल्या आयुष्याच्या प्रोग्रेससाठी किंवा पुढे जाण्यासाठी. आणि त्यांची संस्थाही आहे जी ह्या गोष्टींसाठी कामही करते आणि त्या दोन TEDx स्पीकर पण आहे. So Alexandra, I really welcome you on Vaman Matters. Let's we will start from this question. The source of our energy is from sun and from food also. And people say that our brain also gives us a lot of energy, you know, the willpower thing. Then why sexual energy matters so much, which comes from our genitals? Why that is the main point to be concerned?
Yes, thank you for having me here with you, and thank you to everyone listening. You bring up a good point. And to start off, our sexual energy doesn't come just from our genitals, right? Our sexual energy is actually our life force. If we wouldn't have intimacy, physical intimacy, if two people would not be physical, we would not exist. Babies would not be born. So we come into life through this energy. Sexual energy brings life to this earth, right? So when we talk sexual energy, I want everyone to think life force. This is the energy that gives life. So it's not just into one part of our body. It's throughout the whole body, but we feel it. We feel it very strongly into our genitals because that's where our first chakra is, our root chakra, right? That's the chakra that makes us feel safe and grounded. And that's where the first portal of energy starts. But also the second chakra, the sacral chakra, right? Where it's around our belly. That's where our sensuality and movement and emotions reside. So you can move your whole energy through the 7 chakras, through your whole body and outside of your body. Why sometimes we see people walking down the street and we feel they have so much energy, it's powerful, they're confident, they're attracting, right? That's all into this life force energy. And the sexual energy is the creative energy. Without, like I said, sexual energy, we do not create life. So it's the most creative energy that we have. Now, we don't just use sexual energy to create life. We could use this energy to create a project, to create art, to create things that really matter to us. So let's switch how we think of sexual energy. We think sexual energy is actually life force. It's creative energy.
Is celibacy a way of utilizing this energy, like not doing or engaging in any sexual activity? Is that the way to utilize? I mean, celibacy is the way for this?
I mean, everyone has their own beliefs and everyone can experience their own life however they choose. In my opinion, when we block this energy, when we just accumulate it inside and pent it up and ignore it or try to bottle it up, it's going to become very difficult for us to manage this energy. Like I said, sexual energy is very powerful. It's a life force energy. So when we go through celibacy, we need to be very aware, if we choose to do that we're going to accumulate a lot of sexual energy. Our body is a physical body made to be sexual. Regardless of what some people may think or believe, regardless what your religious beliefs may be, we are sexual beings. We procreate, we bring children into the life, and throughout all the beings into the world, human and animal, there are very, very few that feel pleasure. And humans are one species that feels pleasure. So to me, that indicates that we are meant to be a sexual being. So if you choose to be celibate, you have to be aware that you're going to become very intense with your sexual energy because you're bottling it up, you're holding it in. So you have to find different ways to release this energy, either through workout, so you can release a lot of energy by working your physical body, either through putting all your energy into a project and devoting yourself to something very important. Energy can be moved through the body through breath. We never want to have our sexual energy just stuck into the root chakra or into our genitals. We want to bring it up through the body. So we breathe in and we imagine pulling that energy from our base of the spine all the way to the top of the head and then release it to the rest of the body. So if you choose to be celibate, you have to be aware this energy will accumulate, will intensify. It's like a snowball, right? When you lift it and it becomes bigger and bigger. The same with like the light energy, right? So I would say you have to decide what's best for you. Sometimes some periods of solitude or meditation or spending time with yourself, with your mind, with your emotions, with your body, it's very important. So you don't want to give that energy away to others. But that doesn't mean you don't find ways to manage this energy, because that's what happens when a lot of people ignore or a lot of people try to not focus on their sexual energy. We see a lot of abuse or a lot of aggression because this energy is intense. So if you just try to pretend it's not there or don't give it away or don't manifest it differently, after a while, your dreams become more sexual. Your body gets aroused faster. So many times people ask me, if you guys read the book Think and Grow Rich, or you heard of the transmutation or holding on your release, right? Not actually releasing during intercourse. A lot of people tell me, but I'm more sexual. I desire more. Why do you think that happens? Because you're not managing this energy, because your energy is stuck. It's like you take a bottle of Pepsi and you just agitate it, and nothing comes out because you don't take the cap off. So when you take the cap off, it explodes, right? So that's what happens with this energy. This is powerful energy, and if we don't know how to manage it, it will make us more aggressive. We want things more, we desire more, we become more attracted to a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of experiences. So we have to be mindful if we choose to be celibate. I've had periods in my life of celibacy, but in those periods, I dedicated myself to my work, to my creative projects, to working out, so that energy doesn't get stuck inside the body. At the same time, I always say you have to get to know your body. So physical touch, physical exploration, that is very important for this energy, because you can manage your energy yourself. And I have a few videos on my YouTube where I talk about recognizing all the things that turn your body on, any sensation, any touch, and you start with yourself. If you guys have heard of Tantra, every time I talk about Tantra, every time I talk about the practices in Tantra, we start with the self. You start with a relationship with you, relationship with your body, relationship with your mind, with your heart. It always starts with you because you're in that energy. You're in your body. So you have to practice with yourself. And I don't think celibacy is the way to always manage this energy. Like I said, it's a personal choice. But if you choose to do it for a very long time, you have to recognize that you will become a little bit more intense in certain desires and thoughts. And you have to find ways to manage this energy so it doesn't become too agitated and aggressive.
Apart from celibacy, what are the ways we can utilize and manage this energy?
Yeah, like I said, there are many different things that you can employ, right, to work with the sexual energy. And I want everyone to not think of sexual energy as something that is shameful or something that they should be guilty about. It's a natural energy in our body. It was made to be there. If it wasn't made to be there, we wouldn't have access to it that easy. So we need to stop feeling ashamed or guilty or afraid of this energy. This energy is very beautiful when used and managed properly. Sexual energy, like I said, it supports our vitality. It supports our stamina. It supports us feeling energized. It's like a battery that never runs out as long as we look at it in a different way. Sexual energy is not just meant for sex. It's not just meant for two people to sleep together. Sexual energy, like I said, we have to think of it as life force. So in order to manage it, you have to become very aware of it. Don't deny it. Don't dismiss it. Don't try to hide from it. Don't try to pretend it's not there. As soon as you come to the terms that you are a sexual being, you have this in your body, and this is life force for you. It's creative force. I like always tell some women, because I work a lot with women, to tune into their body and feel where does this energy reside more. Some women feel it in their chakra, their base chakra, their root chakra. Some feel it in their sacral. Sometimes we feel an intense energy in our heart. We feel like our heart is palpitating. That's still our life force energy. That's just running through the body. So you have to feel where it is in your body. And like I said, through breath, you move it. You imagine this energy like a ball of fire, and you move it through your body. You extend it through the body, or you make it smaller. You extend it outside of your body, and then you bring it back into your body and see what happens, how you feel. At the same time, I journal a lot. And when I journal, I go into a flow, right? I feel like I could write for hours and hours, or when you read, or when you work out, or if you have a project at work that takes all your energy. That's again your life force, your sexual energy. So to manage this, first simple exercise is dance. You have to move your body. If you don't like working out, I don't like working out too much. I move my body through dance. I dance around the house alone. I put music loud, and I either move slow because it feels like it's a slow movement, or I dance up and down because I feel very energized. So first is dance or workout, whichever you feel that can move your body really well, right? Then breath. Always breath is so important at the base of everything we do. Meditation, visualization, quietness, and moving your sexual energy, and then managing this through your body. Because imagine just being busy in your day and just running around, and you do a lot of things and you don't sit to think how your body feels. So you find 5 minutes and you just allow your body, oh, I feel tingly, or I feel shivery, or I feel very agitated. So what do? We breathe in and out very deeply, and we release everything. You will feel better and calmer after. So move the body, dance, work out, whatever you need to do. Breathe in deep, in and out. Do breath exercises. You could do any breath exercise that works for you. There are many out there online. There are some online that guide you, that tell you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4. So you could do any breath exercise that feels right to you. A very powerful breath exercise to manage your sexual energy is called fire breath. And you may have seen it there. I mean, some people call it differently, but that's what I call it because that's what I learned to call it. And it's the breath exercise where you just do a lot of fast breathing, like, and you just release a lot of energy really fast. So that's a powerful exercise we do even during some tantric practices. So you just have to find what works for you, but never, never let shame, guilt, fear to be the base of this energy, because that's what turns us into a negative experience or a negative situation.
This question is for those people on, I'm asking for those young people, not only young, regardless of their age, because they believe that releasing their sexual urges is only through masturbation, and then they try their best to no fap
Yeah.
thing. What point of view you have on this, because how we can use our these strong sexual urges for our productive ways? What is the thought process or attitude we need to adapt? At then that urge is also energy also.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, we have urges or we have desires, right? And then there are certain times in our life. Some people experience it during teenage years. Some people experience it later. But there will be times in our life that we feel very sexual. We want to explore. We are curious. We feel a lot of desire. And that's normal. It's biology. Our body goes through certain cycles, and this energy becomes more intense. Now, another element you want to think of when it comes to this is your mind. Your mind is so powerful. And a lot of times, our desires, our urges are not as intense as you think. We make them to be. We think that we want to have so much sex, we want to masturbate, or we think we shouldn't do it, so we do nofap. So we go to extremes instead of recognizing that even through mind, our mind can control our body reactions. I'll give you an example. If someone comes and pinches you, right, and you didn't pay attention, you feel a little bit, but not much. But let's say you don't like this person. Let's say you're very focused on them, and then you pay attention, they pinched you, it will feel worse. It will feel bad. It will feel it hurts more. And all the thoughts you had because, oh my God, I don't like them, they're going to pinch me, it's going to hurt, it intensifies the experience. So it's the same with your sexual energy, with your urges, with your desires. The more you think of something, the more you intensify it. The more you think you need to do something, the more you intensify it. Our mind is very powerful, and we've seen it with the placebo effect. People were told this pill is a medicine, but it wasn't. It was just sugar pill. And they took the pill and they cured their disease or whatever they had because they believed it. So the same applies to our sexual energy. What you believe very, very strongly, it will manifest into your body or into your reality. So if you have a lot of desires and urges, you have to go a little bit deeper and find out why. Some of our physical desires and urges come from emotions, from unfulfilled emotions. Sometimes we feel lonely and we feel rejected or we feel hurt and upset. These emotions are very intense. So we could mask those emotions and we can cover them up by physical interaction, by certain desires. A lot of the times, if you sit with yourself and you truly are honest with yourself and ask, why do I feel like doing this so often? Why do I feel like touching myself or releasing every time or every hour, whatever it is for you? Is it because you may feel alone and this gives you some pleasure? Is it because you were obsessed, stressed out, or angry throughout your day and this gives you pleasure? There's certain things that we try to mask and cover because who doesn't like pleasure? The more pleasure you feel, the better you feel, and the more you can ignore the other things that you don't want to deal with. It's not easy to deal with rejection, to deal with hurt, with feeling alone, with feeling upset. They're not nice emotions. We don't want to feel that way. But if we try to cover those up, if we try to ignore them through pleasure, then after a while, your pleasure is going to become smaller. So you're going to feel like you need to do it more and more often. It becomes like an addiction because now the effect of pleasure over the things you're trying to ignore or cover up is not as big. So you need more and more and more because now your rejection, your hurt, your upset, your anger, your stress are going to become bigger because you're not dealing with them. So be careful and pay attention to not use pleasure, your body or your sexual energy to cover something up that you don't want to deal with. A lot of the times when I struggled through my life, I didn't want to deal with it and wanted to ignore it. So I would go out, have fun with my friends, or I would play a lot of music, or I would just be with my partner, ignore the things I have to deal with. But then guess what? I still am with myself, with my feelings, with my thoughts. So I still had to deal with it. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Yes, it may not be pleasant, and you may have to go through some thoughts that are not that positive. You may have to feel things that are not positive. But after you do, after you deal with it and heal it, you feel so much better. And then you don't exaggerate on your pleasure, because pleasure is meant to be there for you to enjoy, not to use it as a band-aid, as a crutch to hide from something else. So if you feel like nofap or a lot of masturbation is what you're going through right now, sit with yourself, maybe journal, maybe ask yourself, why and what are you trying to get away from? Because I've had a lot of people message me about nofap too, and they were telling me, I still feel very sexual, actually more. I have sexy dreams. I cannot stop, because you're ignoring something else. And you're panting up, again, you're panting up your energy. So don't pant up your energy, but don't just give your energy every hour to the hour, because now you're depleting your life force. As I said, think of sexual energy as your life force. You don't want to give it away every single time. And just so you know, for people, especially for men who release their seed, they also release part of their life force, their energy, their youth. I've researched a lot, and there are researches that tell that men who do not release as much through masturbation or intercourse, they look more youthful, they're more energized, they're more healthy. I'm not saying no fab, because again, no fab keeps everything in and it pents up the energy, and now you're having other negative effects. So be balanced, be in harmony with your body, be in harmony with your mind, be in harmony with your heart, be in harmony with your energy. That's what I always say. I don't know if anyone can guess how old I am, but every time I tell people how old I am, they're shocked. I turned 35 in June. A lot of people tell me I don't look 35. I don't do a lot of things to my face, to my hair. I put some makeup on now because I have to have another meeting later, but it's very minimal because I utilize this energy to keep myself in harmony. I haven't had a partner in a few months, but I still move my body. I do the breath exercises, and I don't ignore everything that goes on. I felt stressed these days. I cannot travel, so I'm angry. So I feel things, but I let them feel. I journal. I release that energy, and then I focus on other things that are beautiful. So that's what I would say. Don't go on extremes. Too much masturbation or not at all. Just be in harmony, but you have to be aware they're going to have to deal with other sides of life. Life is not just pleasure and joy and beautiful. Life has ups and downs, so we have to deal with it. Don't be afraid of that. The more you work with yourself, with your body, with your energy, the more you can actually create better things in your life.
Small children, how they can utilize this energy, means telling about them about sex is a very difficult thing, but which are the exercises, like you mentioned, breathing or listening a song or dancing on a song, what are the simple ways through which they will utilize this energy, because of which when they become an adult they don't create any sexual exploitation in their country or in their society, and they end up in a jail or with a mob lynching? What is your answer on this?
Yeah, it's such an important thing, because how I started, I mean, in high school, I was always curious about sex and sexuality and our energy. And I would always read about it. I didn't have any experiences, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand more, because no one in my family talked to me about it. My parents didn't know as much, and I don't think they were comfortable to talk about it, right? So I had to learn on my own. I had to have some experiences that probably were not the best. And even though I waited till I was an adult, I was probably 18, 19 when I first explored, I still wished someone guided me. So the first thing I say is, as parents, you should not feel ashamed or embarrassed to talk to your children about this. Biologically, your children will go through certain shifts and changes. There's nothing we can do about it. You cannot stop it. You cannot ignore it. We have hormones that will make us feel certain things. We have hormones that will cause our body to feel in a certain way. And we have hormones for whole life. But when a kid goes from like certain ages, think about you reach a child reaches 8 years old, and reaches 12, then reaches 14. Like there's certain stages in life that we experience shifts in the body, right? Not talking to your child about their body or explaining why certain things are the way they are will cause their curiosity to be bigger and bigger. And where do they go to search? Online. How much healthy sexual education do we find online? Very little. I'm in it for years now, and I struggle to find a lot of healthy sexual education for kids out there. So what do they go? They find porn, or they find very bad information, or they talk to their friends who don't know anything either, and then they hear something from a teenager or from like some adult, and they make up their own mind. That's not healthy either because they don't have a guide. I remember a story from a friend of mine who said when he was a child, he thought that chocolate milk comes from brown cows because no one told him, right? So when you don't know for certain something, you make it up in your mind. And as a child who's very creative, imaginative, and he just hears something, and then he's going to create a whole story, he's going to grow up with that wrong belief or unhealthy belief. So first, as a parent, you have to be okay and comfortable. Even if you feel a little weird, you have to have these conversations with your kids because they need a guide. They need someone they can trust and they can come and talk to when they have issues or problems. As a woman or as a girl, when you turn from a girl to a woman because your menstruation comes, you need to be prepared to know what that means. No one told me. I was at home and it just happened and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I had to learn by myself how to manage that. That's not something you want your child to go through, especially as a woman. We as women develop breasts and we have curves, and boys get attracted because hormone says, alert, something is interesting, something fun is happening. So now we need to prepare. Children have to be prepared to know their body's going to modify, their hormones are going to change, their thoughts and their feelings are going to come into play and affect this. So it's very important for parents. I don't know, because in school, I don't believe school will be as healthy. Even here, I'm in Romania now, I'm Romanian, and they just passed a law this year, 2020, to have sexual education in school. And after 2 months, they were trying to take it away and change it and say, actually, it should be sanitary education. No, kids need healthy sexual education to know what's going on in their body, in their mind, in their heart. And then your sexual energy or your desires do not come out of nowhere. Even though some kids experience when they're 13 or when they're 15 or when they're 17, they don't do it necessarily because their energy is too much. It's because of curiosity. It's because they don't know what's going on and they want to explore. I had no urges and no thoughts of sexual interaction until I was 18 or older, because I had the information. I had a book, I would hide it under my desk and I would read every time when my parents would not know. So I read a lot, but my physical body never told me, oh, go touch a boy or you should let a boy touch you. Never. If I didn't feel safe around a boy or other girls, no one used to touch me. No one comes in my space because I had the information that told me you care for your body, you are careful who does what to you. If it feels uncomfortable, if it feels wrong, you do not allow people. But I read, it was a book very, very thick, and I always read it for 2 years. But then when I turned 18, my hormones changed, my desires changed. I liked boys, and it was different. But before that, your body doesn't necessarily tell you you need to do something. So that's why it's important with kids to have the information, because then they're not going to feel as curious or they're not going to want to explore. And if they want to explore, they're going to know how to do it safe and in a healthy way, in a respecting way, because we need to teach our kids to respect each other, to respect someone's boundaries, space, energy, and all that. So our healthy sexual education is very important, because that's why later on we deal with adults who don't know how to explore, how to experience things. They don't know how to express their desires. How many times we see a man who just yells after a woman or whistles. Even in Romania here now, I still go walk down the street, and if a worker works on a house or a building, he calls me, like he yells after me. I don't know who he is, but he saw something beautiful. He doesn't know how to express it. He has no education in that area. So he's just gonna yell off the top of a roof, which to me is still strange, because we need healthy sexual education to understand, okay, I liked someone, I saw someone beautiful, I don't have to behave in a certain way. The same with aggression. Sexual aggression is probably one of the biggest things that hurt my heart when it comes to children or teenagers, even adults. Sex or sexual energy is meant to make our life better, beautiful. It's our life force, so it's meant to support us. When we turn that and we start to abuse or become aggressive, or we try to control or manipulate, or I don't know, held someone hostage, we just turn something beautiful into a negative experience. And that's because we don't know how to deal with it ourselves. We have urges or desires or feelings or emotions or actual things in our body. We get tingly or we get very hot and aroused, and we were not told or taught how to manage that. So we need to do this exploration with ourselves. Explore your mind, explore your thoughts, explore your feelings, explore your body to learn and understand yourself the most. The first intimate relationship you should have is with yourself. As a woman, you need to know your body so well that you know what you need and what you don't. Don't wait for a partner to tell you what you like and what you don't like. As a man, you need to know yourself so well that you need to know what's your limit. A man will always have more physical strength than a woman, no matter what. We are built differently. So as a man, you need to learn what's your capacity, what's your limit, where you pass that limit and you can harm someone. You need to have this relationship with yourself. And as adults, as teenagers, or as parents, we need to educate our kids in healthy sexual education by allowing them to ask us questions, to explain things, to maybe tell them to move, to teach them meditation, breath work, to teach them how to pay attention to what happens in their body and come and trust someone who is safe and makes them feel safe to learn what's going on to their body. And if you don't feel comfortable, send them to someone you know that you can trust, that they can trust, because it's very important. We know a lot of people who lately have been accused that they were major figures in the nonprofit world, in organizing events for kids or created groups for kids, and they were abusing kids. Because that person, to me, he did not even know how to deal with his own sexual energy. So now he has other deviant thoughts. And that comes from our society. It's not something that just happens overnight. We cannot change the whole world overnight, but we can start with our kids. We can start with our family. We can start with our teenagers. That's what it will make a shift. That's what it will create. We need to take care of the kids now to create better future with better adults later on. But this is a longer conversation, and I'll be more than happy to talk to people or to mothers or fathers who don't know how to communicate with their kids about this. Because I was a kid, I was a teenager, I had a younger sister, 5 years younger, and I saw how she experienced things because she knew from me. I would always tell her things. I would always prepare her. So she was younger, but she had more knowledge. She had more understanding than what I did at her age. So if you need help in how to communicate with the kids, just reach out. I'm more than happy to do that. I was even thinking to do a course for parents how to teach their kids. And I can recommend books and things like that. But it's important to recognize we as adults are the one that we should create a safe space for the children to be able to learn and explore these things.
Which is the any particular book or any literature or any article written by you which speaks about these are the ways to utilize our sexual energy? Can you please recommend anything,
For
any
sure.
literature?
Yes. So if you guys go to my YouTube channel, you will see I post a lot of videos about sexual energy and a lot about ourselves and intimacy. These are teenager to adult videos. They're not for kids, right? Because I explain certain terms that kids will not understand. But for someone who's like 17, 18 and older, you will know what I'm talking about. I try to make it into simple terms. So you can see my YouTube channel and see a lot of videos there. One book I really, really love, and I always recommend, is The Mastery of Love. That talks about relationship with yourself, intimacy, love for yourself, and then for others. Because like I said, to me, anything starts with you. So you want to learn how to manage yourself, how to truly love yourself and take care of yourself, because then you can love and take care of others. So that's one book I would always recommend, The Mastery of Love. Another one, if you want to go just more sexual energy and so on, the superior, give me a second because I need to search it. The Way of the Superior Men. That's a really good book that guys should check out for sure. It's very important to read and learn again about the way you are. Guys and girls, men and women are not the same. We don't think the same. We don't function the same. Our bodies are a little different. So you want to learn that, right? Books from Mantak Chia. Let me see, how do you spell? Mantak Chia. So he has a few books out there, right? But you could read any that he has, like from Awakened Healing Energy, Healing Love. He has the multi-orgasmic men, the multi-orgasmic woman, the multi-orgasmic couple. I love his teachings and his books, so you can check him, Mantak Chia, right? I started, like I said, that book I was hiding under the desk, that was Sex for Dummies. That was the book that I started reading because it was the first book that came out there. So you can check that out, The Sex for Dummies. It's very simple and it explains everything from like teenager years and hormonal changes to adults and older. So yeah, those are some things I would definitely recommend checking in. But like I said, you have to maybe even find someone who knows more, who you can trust, who makes you feel safe, and they can answer questions for you. Because that's very important. Someone with experience or someone with certain understandings who doesn't judges you for anything that you may think or feel and just supports you in this journey. It's very important. But if you start with these books, you'll be able to have a lot of understandings. And for women, I recommend The Warrior Goddess Training. I love that book. It talks about how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of our heart, our feelings, our emotions, sexual energy, how to respect ourselves. It's a really great book. So you could try some of these. I can even type them and send them to you later on, for sure.
In your life, you had many low moments or anything very dark happening in your life. How you made sure that you build a resilience within you and get back to your work and to be optimistic? What you did for that? Please share with the people.
Yeah. That's a very good question. We all experience so many ups and downs and low moments and struggling moments in our life. And I've had my own. I've been married, divorced. I had a car accident where I rolled off a highway in Toronto when I used to live in Canada. I've had many, many crazy things in my life that affected me. This year has been a crazy year. I feel like this 2020 was just a pause, a moment that I cannot do the things I want. I feel limited. I feel my freedom was taken away. So yes, we all experience struggling moments. What I feel is very important is, again, how we look at things, the perception we have on the struggling moment or the problems or the things we deal with. Our mind can cause more problems, or our mind can help us overcome things. I'll give you an example in relationships. You had a fight with your partner and your partner got upset and just walked away and, I don't know, left the house, right? You're going to sit there and you're going to think, where is he going? Is he going to see someone else? Is he not coming home tonight? Is he upset with me? He wants to leave me? Does he want to break? Oh, he's going to break up with me. We're going to break up now and I'm going to be all alone. And you're just creating and spinning out of control in your mind. When your partner is calmed down and he comes back home, you're still upset. because you just made a story in your head. And then you're going to be like, where were you? And do you want to break up with me? And why do you want to break up? I've done so many things for you. And you're going to start arguing again because you created a story in your mind and you're upset for the after effect. So it's important to recognize that we need to sometimes maybe take time to just recognize what we experience. If you have a very difficult moment in your life, things that, I don't know, someone passed away and you're really hurt, or you did have a breakup, or you went through a divorce, or something very, very heavy, you need to allow your body and your heart to go through certain emotions. Don't pretend you're going to get better. Don't try to run away from the feeling. Don't try to, again, cover it up with pleasure or not deal with it, because it's going to get worse. So you have to feel sadness or sorrow or hurt or anger or anything that you experience. You want to feel it, but not release it on other people. It's kind of like the breath, right? I can sit here and breathe with myself, or I can be around people and constantly aggravate the situation. So you have to go through emotions, journal, to put down the thoughts and the feelings on paper. Because when you release it on paper, it's kind of, you take it out of you and put it out on a piece of paper. You can write a letter. You write a letter to someone who hurt you. Let's just imagine you write a letter. You don't have to send it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend sending it, but you release all that energy, all that emotion, and then you can burn that letter. Kind of like, I let it go. It goes out into the universe. I sometimes have days when I recognize that I cannot change how I feel because I feel down, or I feel depressed, or I feel anxious. So I sleep. For me, rest of my mind, rest of my body makes me feel better. It helps me when I wake up to see, okay, what can I do to make things better? What solutions do I have? How can I change this circumstance to be a better one? When you're rested, when your mind is rested, when your heart is rested, you are better prepared to deal with hard, difficult things. So rest, take care of yourself. Make sure you don't exaggerate, and be okay if you do. I recognize sometimes I made more problems myself because of my mind. So your perception is very important. And remember that sometimes life gives us lessons. So when you have a difficult moment in your life and you went through something really, really tough, even now you can think of a moment you had something really difficult in your life. And then ask yourself this: what lesson did I learn from that moment? Now you shift the way you look at that. You don't see it necessarily just as a problem, but you also see it as a lesson. I've always learned from relationships that were difficult. I've always learned from breakups. I told you I'm divorced. I learned from that. It was a very difficult moment. It took me 3 years to overcome the insecurities. I felt ugly. I felt like I did something wrong. I felt like I failed in my marriage. I felt a lot of bad things. I do not want to date. I do not want to see anyone. I wouldn't like to go outside. So I experienced a lot of difficult things. And it took me 3 years to be okay with the fact that I divorced. But now I learned that I lost myself in the relationship. I learned that I wasn't honest with myself, and I changed who I was for my partner, which didn't help me. I learned that I need to communicate better. I learned that I need to speak out my mind in a calm, in a harmonious way. I also learned that if I don't take care of myself, I just take care of everyone else, then I'm going to get tired and angry and frustrated. So I learned many things from my divorce. I would not recommend to people to get divorced, but I learned a lot. So now I do not have anything against marriage. I would get married again. I do not have anything against people who are divorced, because I know sometimes we have to go through certain things in life. And I learn every single day. I always ask myself, what can I learn from this? Like, I was struggling last week. Someone hacked my Instagram, hacked my client's account because I work with different clients. It was just very stressful. So after 3 days of stressing out and freaking out, then I sat and said, okay, so what did I learn? I'm very trusting, and I trust people. Some people cannot be trusted. It's life. What else did I learn? That I need to be more careful where I put things and where I allow people to come into my life. I also learned that I have to deal with my insecurities because I was afraid that someone will use my teachings and my work to make me look in a bad way. So I learned that I have to be strong and confident in what I teach, because even if someone says, well, you're bad for doing this, I know that what I do is I want to help people. If someone else doesn't think that, it's their opinion, not mine. So we have to learn every single day. What do we learn? And then recognize tough times happen, ups and downs are going to happen. Life is meant that way. If every day would be just light and bright, would we appreciate it as much? Because we have the darkness to remind ourselves, oh, so beautiful when it's light. When every day it's going to be hot and beautiful or cold and freezing, would we appreciate the other side? It's meant, this world, this life we live in, it's meant to give us both sides, the good and the bad, so we can appreciate more. Don't try to push things away. From Vipassana meditation, I learned this, right? The more we try to push something bad away, the more we suffer. The more we try to hold on to good, the more we suffer. So learn that when it's great and good, enjoy it. When it's bad and stressful, just appreciate the fact that you get to learn, and this is going to go away. Simple example is the headache. When you have a headache, the more you focus on the headache, the worse it gets. The headache goes away eventually. Either you take a pill or you just let it happen, drink a lot of water, and it goes away. So for me, meditation helps a lot. The Vipassana taught me a lot about not attaching myself to good or bad and reminding myself that I can cause my own suffering. So I'm very, very careful on how I process things and what I think. I'm always very careful on how I think of things.
Anyone in your life that you really honor and love, and you want to say or give any message to that particular person or group of people from here?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of people in my life that I connect with, and there are many women and men in my life that really helped me and supported me. They mentored me, or they were there for me when I was struggling. So they know who they are because we connect all the time, and they know how grateful I am for their presence in my life. And I have friends that I used to be friends with in high school when I lived in Romania, but then I moved out. I was living outside of Romania for 13 years. They moved out, and we still connect. It doesn't matter if it takes 6 months or 3 months to talk again. We still have that friendship and that love and care for each other. So that's what I appreciate about the people in my life, because I have people who I align with, who understand and see me for me. So they know who they are. They know how much I'm grateful and appreciative for them. And the same thing for you. Make sure you surround yourself with people you truly align and truly are there for you when you need them. I travel a lot, so I don't have a group of friends in the city that I'm at, because I'm in Romania or I'm in Bali or I'm in Malaysia or I'm in Canada. So I'm everywhere. But I always can pick up a phone and call someone and tell them, I'm hurt today, or I need to talk to someone, or I'm struggling, or I need to tell someone about an exciting thing that happened. And that person, because it's my soul sister or my soul brother, my soul family, they're always going to be able to be there for me. So that's what I recommend to everyone. Find that soul family, the brother and sister that they don't have to be necessarily from your own family, but they become family. So, yeah.
This is the last question, and I am going to stop the interview here. Do you have any question for me?
I don't have necessarily any questions for you. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer any other questions. And if you guys have anything else that you need, I'm here to serve. And I always want to see people have better relationships, have a better relationship with themselves. Because when you have that relationship with you, you feel better. You can serve others better. You can give better, right? So I'm here to support and teach and mentor and give as much as I can. I work a lot and I'm very focused on the things I do. So not necessarily a question for you, but I hope that this was what you were looking for. I hope your audience enjoys this.
and I really honor your presence for this interview, and I even honor that people are listening to this interview, and I hope you also had an amazing time, and people are also having an amazing time by watching and listening this interview. So thank you so much, Alexandra, for giving your time. Have a great life ahead, and I hope you will be the same strong and healthy person again, and people will take the same inspiration from you. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you so much.